You might have seen or heard about One Punch Man. You might have even seen my previous video on it, where I talk about how watching this season is like having someone stand over you and piss in your eyes for 21 minutes before the episode just sort of ends. What I want to talk about now, however, isn't the radioactive material that comes off the IMDb pages for the episodes, but instead how people are approaching One Punch Man Season 3, specifically how it's become a public spectacle to not really understand how production works. Now that I've made it sound like that I'm going to possibly defend One Punch Man, middle schoolers and 30-year-old YouTube reactors alike are probably storming to the comment sections in droves. But I want to clarify something. Is One Punch Man Season 3 bad? Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's shit from a butt. It's a demonstrable downgrade from even Season 2, which was panned by the broader community. We have the infamous Hill Slide manga panels that are adapted to TV, including where the panel borders should be. And you have editing assets remaining in broadcasted episodes. It's a fucking disaster. What people think, however, is that because something is a disaster, it gives them the right to personally shit on and attack the people involved in making this work. And I want to clarify something here. I don't really have any problem with people making specific criticisms towards individuals. And I think some people coddle Japanese creators more than Western ones in that regard. You dare say that a mangaka fed you another turd sandwich this week, and they're gonna have you flayed and beaten on Twitter within minutes. But you can slander any Western director you want, and it's just kind of how it goes. What I think goes too far, however, is harassing individual people. Now, I'm no stranger to criticizing people directly. I've made massive critiques of My Hero Academia that include criticizing Horikoshi and his viewpoints. I'm pretty openly critical of Masahiro Shinohara's work on ReZero as the director. The main difference is I'm not pulling out my phone during first period to reply to their Twitter accounts to say that they ruined One Punch Man, or turning people's real lives into content mills because grifters noticed that the YouTube revenue section had a green up arrow on it now. Obviously, I'm going to specify again, criticism is not inherently inciting hate, but when people with these massive platforms, they go online and they tell the staff to never work on anime again. And for full transparency, this creator did go back and correct this statement. They don't mean never work on anime again, they just mean never work on One Punch Man again. Calling them disgraces who should be ashamed of themselves. It just makes you look like a dumbass, man. It's grifting, plain and simple, especially when you have instances of these creators doubling back on things that they have said in the past to continue pushing the One Punch Man hate train to far more views and revenue.
Season 3. I have no problems with the director. I have no problems with JC Staff. I've said this over and over and over again. My frustrations are not towards JC Staff. I have nothing but all the love and praise in the world for JC Staff. My anger and frustrations are towards the committee, the higher-ups that are way higher than JC Staff. I don't think any artist worked on this latest episode all-nighters to get that episode out. I truly believe they barely put an hour of time into that episode that have given JC Staff this impossible task of animating One Punch Man Season 3. But you're giving this director 6 months to a year work of time to animate Season 3. Impossible. You could give this to any studio. It would be impossible without directors, animators, artists dying because of the overwork. You are barking at the wrong tree. You could be the most talented artist, but if you haven't been given enough time to do your job, this is what happens. These people are fucking crazy. They are actually defending what we've been getting with One Punch Man Season 3. They're using this stupid fucking excuse about time constantly, as if it's Bandai Namco and time, telling these animators, telling these artists, telling this fucking director to put filters every 5 seconds.
I don't really think it's a big deal to make, some kind of slop content. We all doing it. I'm doing it right now. You cross a line, in my opinion, when that slop comes at the harm of the people pulling all-nighters on episodes and doing their best to get work done, spreading ignorance to your audience as they parrot misinformation and have a general lack of understanding of what they're talking about. And I don't want this to sound like I'm saying that you can't criticize something if you don't understand the inner workings of it, because that's a viewpoint I vehemently disagree with. I think it's okay to criticize things that you don't understand how they were made. I don't think you need a fucking bachelor's in film to say that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was dog water. But I think if you're going to try and critique the specific minutia of a film's development, or you're going to critique the individual staff members and some of the work that they've done on things, I think you had better come out swinging with some fucking understanding of what you're talking about. And to some extent, these creators do reference that they are familiar with the brutality of the anime industry. Part of the issue is that by bringing up that the working conditions are less than ideal, you are painted as someone defending the season. So again, just to be clear, it's fucking ass. It's a horrible product. My issue isn't with people saying that. It's with the way that the staff members are being treated, both by the production company and by the fans, if you really want to call them that, because they are being incited by YouTubers who are doing it on purpose for money. These creators, who are on record saying it has everything to do with Bandai Namco, turning heel and personally targeting the staff and inciting hate for the money, it's fucking bullshit, man. I wanted to take this video and my small platform to maybe air out some of the many repeated misconceptions that people are bringing up about One Punch Man, not in an attempt to defend the KFC Double Down Heart Disease that is the anime that is airing, but to maybe get some people to understand that this is just how things work in this industry, and it's bullshit. It's not right, but let's talk about it. Firstly, you see this in every anime discussion. Anytime anything pops off, anytime anything is good, they'll be like, oh my god, they spent all the budget on this. Pouring money into a show can help. From what I've heard, I am not 100% sure on it myself, this is kind of what Mappa does. Even though they have such tight turnaround times, they just pour a fuck ton of money into it and it works out. But budget is not the solution to every anime's issues. One of the biggest contributors is time. If you don't have the time you need to do the ambitious things you want to do, then you get one frame men. When you think of anime production cycles, you might think a year, 2 years, or maybe even more. That's how long it takes for these things to come out, usually, and fuck, the time between One Punch Man Season 2 and 3 was 6 entire years. But this is assuming that they were working on the anime for all 6 of those years, which, in my experience, is almost never the case. Anytime there's a big gap between things, they're not working on it that whole gap. It's possible that even for a year or two, pre-production hadn't even started. It's a whole process. And it's rumored, and I'm going to say rumor here, like, I have never seen proof of this. People say that One Punch Man had 6 months of production time. So I'm just going to assume, and this could be proven wrong later, and if it is, I'll put it in a pinned comment. Let's just say around 6 to 12 months. You have 6 to 12 months to make an anime like One Punch Man, without the funding of a Mappa project, without the time required for ambitious stuff, without the resources and connection other studios might have. It's like trying to drive a car, but you have no legs, or arms, or wheels, and fuck it, they took your eyes too. You really shouldn't be on the road, but you can hear the metal of your wheels hitting something, so you know what, we're going. One Punch Man Season 3 was basically shot in the fucking kneecap right out of the gate, which leads us to our next misconception. If the conditions were this obviously bad from the beginning, the staff should have just not taken the job. This is just about as useful as telling Walmart employees that they can just say no to their manager before they end up pulling doubles out of retaliation. You think the staff have a say in what they do and do not work on? Is this your fucking first day on Earth? Your first time hearing about a job? You think the people not in, like, anybody that's not an executive has a say on what they do and do not work in a majority of anime studios? This decision is made above them. It's the corporate side of the studio. And these studios are usually not in a position where they could just refuse a job. Animation studios do not make a lot of money, so they're taking what they can get to keep their company afloat. The number of anime studios that are closing or going bankrupt rose in Japan for the 3rd consecutive year. So then, all these fucking teenagers, they move the goalpost and say, well, if they can't say no, then they should just leave their job. They should have just said no.
Understand how hard artists have it. Listen, Mr. Thurlow, nobody put a gun to this director's head and told him to direct a season that was similar to a ship sinking.
Sorry, not teenagers, but also 30-year-olds. There is an opportunity cost to your actions in every industry, but I'm going to use creative industries more in particular because that's one that I know. These YouTubers are going to find out that these YouTubers are going to find that out as they burn bridges to farm ad revenue. Unfortunately for anime staff, working on anime does not make as much money as anime reaction content. The just find another job argument is a tale as old as time. Can't afford to live, bad working conditions, just strap on the job helmet and fire yourself out of a fucking job cannon. In creative industries, a lot of them are connection-based. It's a thing, everyone's heard about it, networking. If you decline to do the work, it's not like they just go, oh, okay, that's fine, and that's it. People take note of that. And that's where this opportunity cost comes in. You decline work, you deprive yourself of creating connections, networking, you deprive yourself of future career opportunities. All it takes is for one salty motherfucker to spread word around to the others that they have connections with, to impede your chance at a job in the future. Yes, this is art, but also, working on anime is also still a job. And it still has all the pitfalls a job will have. And this is a good segue into another misconception. Well, it's more of some rhetoric that people use. They like to say, if a chef burns my food, am I supposed to feel bad because of their sad backstory? And I think this is a good analogy. Because it's bad. That's why it's a good one. Let's say you go to the worst food place in the world. Let's call it Burger King. You get that sad, depressing ass Bacon King. It looks like shit. It's dry as shit. It has no motion. I felt bad. Earlier this year for my birthday, my mom brought me some Burger King, and I really tried, man. I really, really tried. Everything about it was so genuinely horrendous. Did I, however, go online and tweet that everyone who works at my Burger King locally should never work in food service again? No, I just think that the products from Burger King are ass. Yeah, I'm not making videos talking about my beef with the regional manager. This should be especially true if you find out later that it's not that the staff sucks. It's the ingredients, it's the tools they have, it's that they get paid fucking, I don't know, $7.25 an hour, and they come in after working their second job. It's that they get 30 seconds per burger or some crazy shit. You can hear all that and go, man, this burger fucking sucked. And still recognize that a lot of that is out of the control of the people working in those kitchens. And it gets even worse when they just admit that they don't care about the truth and that it's all for the ad revenue. I think it's just gross behavior. Not hating on something for money. I don't really give a shit about that, but roping in real people, spreading misinformation, and inciting an angry mob, it's just ridiculous to me. I don't care how many posts you want to make about how dog shit One Punch Man is. That is your God-given right, and it does suck ass. Just leave the overworked, underpaid animators out of it. You can still think it sucks even if you hear the sad backstory, is basically my point. Just take into account that sad backstory when you talk about why it sucks. I just wanted to talk about this because it's been bothering me for the past couple of weeks. If you're watching this and you really, really hate One Punch Man Season 3, that's fine. Please just don't go into staff members' mentions and explode on them about it. That's about it. See ya.